Michael, it's safe to say this might actually be one of Nick Saban's least favorite weeks of the year. This is a slam dunk victory coming up for Alabama, a game where a lot of players are going to get on the field. But for Nick Saban, it's about kind of keeping the players motivated and focused on the ultimate goal. And he knows that there's maybe a way for that to be derailed if they don't play their best football on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's about keeping the momentum, keeping what they started at Mississippi State, what they started with the fourth quarter, the end of the drive at LSU in overtime, to keep that momentum going. And if they trip up, they don't play their best game, if they don't look as sharp, he's be concerned that would carry over then into the following week against, I think Auburn's coming in town.
Yeah, you look at last season as an example. Alabama played a very good game against LSU, won 38-17, followed it up with not a great performance at Mississippi State, and it really just seemed like they never recovered. They played Chattanooga the next week, and because it was such an inferior opponent, they really couldn't get the full confidence back, and then they played okay at Auburn at times, and then lost in an unfortunate way. And they really just didn't play their best football for that game, and really just never got it back in the bowl game. So you're right. I think just keeping that positive momentum, taking care of business early, not punting basically in the first half, and that's a way to get out of there pretty happy.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't expect to see the starters for very long. First half. I think there's even come out in the second quarter of these games before where they just want to kind of get them in the rhythm so they're not losing that rhythm going to the next week, get a feel for the game speed. But the last thing they can afford on Saturday would be an injury to someone key, especially a running back, but they're already pretty thin there.
Yeah, speaking of that, though, at the same time as Alabama's treating this game very seriously, I think it's safe to assume that maybe a couple of these players who are dealing with some injuries might have the day off on Saturday. I think we're looking at potential guys like T.J. Yeldon, DeAndrew White, and maybe even Adam Griffith, the kicker. Right. They're not doing much in practice right now. I think, especially with Yeldon, he's been banged up, beat up, dealt with a couple different injuries, and I think the key hit we took away from practice today, Tyron Jones was wearing his normal jersey, whereas previous weeks he was in a scout team jersey.
Yeah, I would definitely see plenty of him. Henry probably start out the game, but there aren't that many guys behind them. You got Tenpenny, and probably the third option at this point. If you don't consider Charleston Fowler. So yeah, I think it's a game where you would expect them to run the ball quite a bit, kind of take the clock down in the second half.
We're going to keep taking this game very seriously. We'll be back tomorrow after Nick Saban's Wednesday press conference.